Hey everyone, ready to shed some light on the fear of the dark? We've got some amazing stories and practical tips that might just change how you see the night.
Yeah, it's really interesting how common this fear actually is.
Like more common than people think.
Yeah, it's called nyctophobia, and it affects a lot of people.
But hey, no shame in that, right?
Yeah.
Totally understandable when you think about like evolution and stuff.
Oh, exactly. For our ancestors, darkness meant vulnerability. Like, can
Mm,
you imagine trying to navigate a world full of predators and you can't see? Makes sense to be a little afraid, right?
right. Like a healthy dose of fear kept him safe.
Exactly.
But these days, most of us aren't worried about like saber-toothed tigers hiding in the shadows.
True, true. But those instincts, they can linger. Plus, add in some childhood experiences,
Well, yeah.
like a scary movie or getting lost in the dark,
Oh, wait.
and boom, those feelings get even stronger.
It's so true. It reminds me of this story about Emma. She's a software engineer who had like a pretty intense fear of the dark.
Oh,
Yeah, it all stemmed from something that happened when she was a kid.
what happened?
Okay, so picture this. She's playing hide and seek, ends up locked in a dark closet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that experience really stuck with her. She carried that fear into adulthood.
I can only imagine how scary that must have been. Like, one event can totally shape how you feel about the dark for years.
It really is incredible, right?
Yeah.
But what's so inspiring about Emma is that she decided to, like, take control.
You know.
She realized this fear was holding her back.
Yeah, for sure. So what does she do?
So she started with therapy to kind of process that childhood trauma and learn some coping mechanisms.
Okay, makes sense.
And then get this, she tried exposure therapy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's super effective for phobias.
Right. It's basically gradually exposing yourself to the thing you're afraid of in a safe way.
Exactly.
So Emma started small, like
Mhm.
dimming the lights in her apartment and just spending a few minutes in the semi-darkness.
Okay, baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. And over time, she slowly increased the amount of time she spent in the dark, and eventually she was totally comfortable in completely dark rooms.
Wow, that's awesome. Sounds like she was really dedicated to overcoming her fear. What was the outcome?
Get this. She actually enjoys being in the dark now.
No way. That's an amazing transformation.
I know, right? She even started going stargazing and camping, things she never would have even considered before.
It's amazing how facing your fears head on can be so powerful. Sometimes the scariest part is what we imagine might happen.
Totally. Our imaginations can go wild in the dark.
Yeah. But often those fears are way more about what we think might happen than any real danger.
So true.
Emma's story perfectly shows how we can break free from those imaginary threats and, reclaim our comfort with the night. But to be real for a sec, you don't have to become a total night owl to overcome this fear.
Yeah, totally. Everyone's comfort level is different.
Exactly. It's all about finding strategies that work for you and taking those small steps towards feeling more at ease in the dark. Speaking of small steps, it reminds me of this other story. You familiar with Sam's story?
Sam, is that the 12-year-old scared of movie nights?
Yep, that's him. Even like a couple dark scenes in a movie and he'd freak out.
Oh, man. I
Yeah.
bet his parents were going crazy trying to help him.
Well, his dad had this awesome idea. Took Sam on a camping trip.
Wait, hold on. A camping trip for a kid terrified of the dark doesn't seem like the best idea.
Right, you'd think so. But here's the thing. Instead of focusing on the darkness, his dad showed him the night sky.
Ah, I see. So he shifted Sam's focus to something like positive and amazing.
Exactly. They spent hours under the stars learning about constellations and planets. And guess what?
Sam's fear, like, went away.
Totally. He went from dreading the dark to being completely fascinated by it. The whole experience helped him see the beauty in the night.
That's incredible. Just goes to show you how changing what you focus on can totally change how you feel. It's not about erasing the fear, but shifting your attention to something better.
And that's a strategy anyone can use. Instead of fixating on the darkness, find something you like about the night.
Like listening to crickets or reading a good book.
Exactly. Or maybe you find peace in the quiet. Whatever it is, find something that helps you connect darkness with something good.
That's great advice. Speaking of advice, what are some other things people can do to feel more comfortable in the dark?
Well, one of the simplest things is to start small. Don't go from sleeping with all the lights on to pitch black right away.
Right, that's like easing into a cold pool. You don't want to just jump in.
Exactly. Start by dimming the lights a little bit. Maybe even just start with your bedroom and gradually do it in other rooms.
So it's about feeling in control and comfortable.
Exactly. The more at ease you are in your space, the less scary the dark will feel. Another good tip is mindfulness.
Ah, mindfulness. That's always a good idea.
It really is, especially for managing anxiety. When you start feeling scared in the dark, focus on your breath. Notice how your chest moves as you breathe in and out.
Yeah, it's like a way to ground yourself in the moment.
Exactly. And that's where you're truly safe. Because right now, you are safe.
That is reassuring. It also reminds me of challenging negative thoughts.
Yes, those thoughts can really spiral out of control in the dark, but a lot of times those fears are not based in reality.
So how can people stop those thoughts from taking over?
One way is to use affirmations.
Affirmations, you mean like positive self-talk?
Exactly. Instead of letting your mind go wild with what ifs, try repeating phrases like, I am safe, or the darkness can't hurt me.
Sounds a little cheesy, but I can see how it could help.
It might feel weird at first, but the more you say those things, the more you'll believe them. And that can really change how you feel in the dark.
And you know what else can help? Relaxation techniques.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Things like progressive muscle relaxation or listening to calming music.
It's all about slowing down your heart rate and calming down your body because, fear affects us physically too.
Absolutely. Sometimes all you need are a few deep breaths to calm down and forget about the fear.
So we've got mindfulness, affirmations, relaxation techniques. These are all great for managing fear. But what if none of that works?
Well, then it might be time to think about professional help.
You mean like therapy?
Right. Therapists can really help people understand and overcome their fears. They can give you specific strategies and support.
And there's so many different types of therapy now. Some people find CBT helpful. Others might benefit from EMDR or even hypnotherapy.
Yeah, the most important thing is finding a therapist who specializes in anxiety and who you feel good working with.
That's key. It's about having a safe and supportive space to really dig into those fears and figure out how to beat them.
And sometimes just talking to someone who gets it can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. It's like having a guide to help you conquer the darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, there are so many different ways to approach this. It's not just about like being tough. It's about finding what works for you.
For sure. And it's important to remember you're not alone in this. So many people deal with this, and there's help out there if you need it.
Hearing these stories about Emma and Sam and all these tips, it really makes you realize this fear can be overcome. It might not be easy, but it's possible.
Absolutely. And think about all the freedom you'd have if you conquered this fear. No more avoiding walks at night or getting anxious at the movies or missing out on stargazing.
It's like opening up a whole new world just by learning to be okay in the dark.
Exactly. And sometimes the darkness can actually be really beautiful and peaceful.
It's true. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be scared of the dark too. But then my grandma, she showed me how to appreciate the night sky. We'd lie in a blanket in her backyard and just look at the stars. She'd tell me stories about the constellations, and suddenly the darkness wasn't so scary anymore.
That's a lovely memory. Really shows how our view of darkness can change when we focus on something good.
It really does.
Yeah.
And those experiences, even from childhood, can stick with you.
They really can. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you'd tell someone listening who's struggling with this fear?
I'd say be kind to yourself. It's okay to be afraid. Don't beat yourself up about it. And remember, even the smallest step towards facing your fear is a huge win.
That's so important. You don't have to conquer it all at once. Just start small, one step at a time. Celebrate those victories.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed or like you're stuck, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are resources out there, people who care and want to help you through this.
Absolutely. You're not alone. And remember, the darkness only has power if you give it power. You have the strength to face this fear and find your peace with the night.
Well said. And on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something valuable, something that helps you navigate the darkness with more confidence and peace.
Sweet dreams, everyone.